Welcome to Voice After 50, the podcast where we talk honestly about what it really means to grow, shift, and live fully in our 50s and beyond. I'm your host, Beverley. Today's episode is called When Life Gives You Lemons. Now, we've all heard that old saying, when life gives you lemons, make lemonade. It's supposed to be about making the best out of a bad situation. It's a metaphorical saying. Lemons represent difficulties, challenges, or unpleasant situations. Lemonade represents something positive, useful, or enjoyable. So the meaning is, when you face difficulties or setbacks, try to turn them into opportunities or find a way to make the best of the situation. For example, if you lose a job, a lemon, you might use the time to learn new skills or start a business, making lemonade. If an event you planned gets rained out, lemons, you might turn it into a cosy indoor gathering instead, lemonade. So you get the idea. It's really about resilience and optimism. And yes, there's wisdom and a lot of sense in that. But here's my take on this, and you may agree or disagree. Either way, it's okay. While the more well-known meaning treats lemons as problems or something negative, you can flip the metaphor and see lemons in a positive way, depending on perspective. For example, lemons can be seen as raw material, raw potential. A lemon on its own is sour and doesn't really do anything, but with a bit of creativity, sugar, water, recipes, it can become refreshing lemonade. But it could also become a cake or even a cleaning product. So the lemons could stand for untapped opportunities or raw materials that just need effort to unlock their value. Lemons can be seen as uniqueness. Now, everyone likes lemons straight, but they have a strong, distinct flavour. They could symbolise your quirks, uniqueness or differences, things that might seem too much at first, but actually makes life richer and more interesting when embraced. Lemons can be equated with energy or zest. Since lemons are associated with freshness and vitality, they could represent motivation, inspiration, or a spark. And making lemonade would then mean channeling that energy into something enjoyable or uplifting. So yes, lemons don't have to mean only bad things. They can also symbolise something raw, unique, or full of potential that you can transform creatively. So my take on this is that by the time you hit 50, you've had enough lemonade. You're not looking for something watered down or predictable. If life is handing you lemons at this stage, maybe it's time to make a lemon drizzle cake, or a lemon cheesecake, or something a little more decadent. Something that nourishes, surprises, and feels like a treat. Because we don't just want to quench our thirst anymore. We want to fill our bellies. We want to enjoy the richness of what we're creating. So, I'm turning this old adage on its head. For me, the lemons can now represent our raw gifts, talents, and experiences. All the things we've gathered over the decades, the skills, the lessons, the scars, the wisdom. And like any recipe, the magic happens when you add other ingredients. Maybe your curiosity is the sugar, your resilience is the butter, your humour, that's the cream. Put them together and suddenly you're not just surviving and battling through, you're creating something new, amazing, memorable. Something that's yours. Something you have consciously and deliberately created and not just settled for because of what has been handed to you. Psychologist and author Dr. Angela Duckworth talks a lot about grit, the blend of passion and perseverance that carries us through those tough times. Duckworth emphasises sticking with challenges despite setbacks, not giving up, and I'll add making do, when things get sour, but instead adapting and creating something worthwhile. In Duckworth's terms, when life gives you lemons, grit is what happens. You squeeze them into lemonade instead of just puckering at the sour. And I think many women over 50 are the very definition of grit. We've been persevering for decades. But what if, at this stage, it's less about gritting our teeth and pushing through and more about choosing more and consciously and deliberately adding and mixing in other ingredients into something we actually want? Here's a trap I think many of us fall into. We settle for lemonade. We tell ourselves, this is fine, this is enough. Because even though it may be uncomfortable, it's expected. And if we push through, it'll all come good in the end. And in some instances, it does. But I can't help but to equate this with mediocrity. And I don't think at this stage in our lives that suits us anymore. By now, we've lived a lot, survived so much, learned so much. All of that just to shrink into just enough, or I'll wait it out. There are many amazing life coaches out there, like Cheryl Grace, who talks about us not dimming our lights by making do or just hanging on. And that resonates so strongly with me, because making lemonade can sometimes be about dimming down, diluting ourselves. But making a lemon drizzle cake, that's bold. That's saying, I deserve sweetness. I deserve more. Maybe for you, the lemons right now are an empty nest. The kids have flown the coop and suddenly the house feels quieter than you ever imagined. For years, your schedule revolved around their needs, and now you're left wondering, what do I do with all this space, all this time, all this energy? Or it's a job that just doesn't light you up anymore. Maybe you've given decades of loyalty to a career, but instead of feeling fulfilled, you're drained. You catch yourself counting down to retirement, but secretly you're asking, is this really how I want to spend my precious days? Or it could be a relationship that shifted or ended. Maybe the marriage you thought would last forever didn't. Or maybe you're still together, but you've grown in different directions. You find yourself craving connections, emotional, spiritual, even physical, that isn't being met. Or even your own body changing in ways that sometimes feels unrecognizable. Menopause, joint aches, energy swings. You still feel vibrant and youthful inside, but the mirror and the aches don't always agree. It can feel like your body is betraying you. And those are real lemons. They can taste bitter and feel sour. But here's the shift. You, and only you, get to decide what to add to them. Maybe it's finally taking a class you talked about for years. Maybe it's saying yes to that trip you've always put off. Maybe it's starting the small business you sketched out on napkins 20 years ago. Maybe it's simply allowing yourself to rest. Do nothing, without guilt, without apology. Because here's the thing, you don't have to make and pour out the same old lemonade anymore. You get to create your own recipe. Make that lemon cake. And yes, not everything you bake will be perfect. Sometimes the cake will sink in the middle. But even then, it's often still delicious. Or make another one. Keep trying. I think that's the beauty of this stage of life. We've got permission in that we're giving ourselves permission. We've earned it. To stop living on autopilot, to stop waiting patiently for the storm to pass, to stop doing what we should, and to start doing what we want. Let's keep this real. We don't have endless time to waste anymore, which I know sounds a bit heavy, but actually it's quite freeing. It's clarity. So let me ask you this. What are your lemons right now? And what ingredients can you add? What are you going to make? If you're listening to this and nodding along, I want you to visualize your own recipe, not someone else's version, not someone else's vision, but yours. Because when life gives you lemons at 50 and beyond, it's not about grinning and bearing it. It's about choosing deliberately what we want to create from here. And maybe it's about letting yourself have something that feels a little decadent, a little unexpected, a little more you. If you enjoyed today's episode, I'd love it if you could subscribe, leave a review, or share it with a friend. It really helps Voice After 50 reach more curious minds like yours. And a quick note, the content of this and all my podcast episodes is for general information and entertainment purposes only. It's not professional advice, counselling or therapy. So please consult a qualified professional for any personal, medical or psychological concerns you may have. So my lovely listeners, that's today's food for thought, excuse the pun. When life gives you lemons, don't just make lemonade. Bake something beautiful. Add your sugar, your flour, your butter, your cream, and make it yours. Until next time, remember, after 50, we're not just here to quench our thirst. We're here to savour, indulge, to nourish, to delight in and celebrate who we're creating and becoming. I'm Beverley, and this is Voice After 50, and thanks for listening. Talk soon.